Hello everyone, let's start this playthrough of Kerbal Space Program, Caveman Evolved Challenge. Here's the mods I'm running. And start a new game here. And I have some trouble typing. It's going to be a common theme. I decided to go with the trippy flag in honor of autism awareness. Gonna just do a normal playthrough. Not gonna play on hard or choose not to revert or anything like that. Decide to just complete the challenge. Okay, Gene, thanks. I got it. Alright, first thing I do is basically make the mistake of going into the spaceplane hangar first and not choosing some contracts. So here you'll see me doing that and then going back out again and going into the to grab the first two contracts. That being launch first vessel and gather scientific data from Kerbin. In order to do that, I need to build a craft. So the rest of this video is going to be sped up for you, thankfully, right? So took a page from a playthrough I've seen somebody else do, where they basically used the two command pods in an hourglass configuration using the mystery goo canisters here to basically create two wheels, and then basically use the Q and E keys to get around. Every once in a while I can catch some air and get a while flying, but it's rare. Anyway, I'm just getting as much science as I possibly can so I can open up nodes. Grabbing the science instruments I just unlocked and adding those to the craft so I can get even more science. Getting off the runway, going over to the shores biome. More and more science to be had. Opening up another node there. Science X is the mod I'm using for, or Science Here and Now, rather, as the mod I'm using to gather all the science at once. Time to go ahead and grab the other contracts here and make an orbiter. Standard orbiter here with enough fuel to get up into orbit, using the science pod so I can collect all the data and at once I have experiments that can be collected. It basically resets the barometer and the temperature gauge, and that way you don't have to do it manually. It's pretty handy. However, with the material study and the mystery goo, you still got to bring a scientist to do that. Alright, here I am, just about getting into orbit, horizontal. Making some small adjustments. Waiting out and fast forwarding. And grabbing some more science while I can. And circulizing. Didn't quite make it into orbit. That's okay, I didn't have the contracts for it anyway. Okay, time to deorbit and bring this vessel home. Once again, we will do 4-time acceleration and use the fine controls here. Starting to heat up. Shaky, shaky, and pops the parachute in. Blooms, and there we go. Vessel recovered, science recovered. Okay, so I just grab a couple of contracts here for money, testing out the decoupler and the separator on the pad. just to go ahead and get some money, or funds really, and reputation. Alright. Time to actually orbit this time. I also grabbed the parachute test contract as well. Pretty much a copy of the profile that I did before with this orbiter. I believe I added an additional fuel tank this time so that I could actually have enough delta V to circularize. Which I do, a nice 80-70. Grabbing science while I'm up here. Cruise around to my apoapsis so I can bring down the periapsis and deorbit and re-entry. 4-time acceleration, fine controls. No heat shield needed. Coming in over the mountains, parachute deploys. More science. And coming in for a nice, soft landing. Time to get a couple of EVAs. Move some experiments around so that I can actually get multiple copies of, like, say, the crew report and stuff like that. Alright. Got enough science to open a couple of nodes here. I was kind of torn on which contract to take and finally decided that I was going to go ahead and fly by the moon. And I pick up the decoupler test in flight contract as well. And got a couple more nodes there. Alright, so this is my moon lander. I basically waited for the moon to come around into basically like a 1 o'clock position relative to the launch pad, and I am just shooting straight up and out directly for the moon. No orbit. Of course, don't have conics, so it'd be kind of hard to plan an encounter otherwise. This is my best method. Alright, apoapsis is set to counter the moon and time warp ahead here. And there's an encounter. Grab the science while I'm out here. Looks like we're gonna run into the moon, so I'm gonna have to change that. Do a slight burn here. Get away from the moon. Alright, so I actually wanted to land on the moon. I didn't have enough delta V, so I'm gonna need to open up some more nodes, I think, before I'm gonna land on the moon. So making a buggy here in the space plane hangar, a automated buggy, so I can go around and collect science around the KSC and just recover the vessel over and over. Open up some more nodes. So here I am running around, heading towards the administration building. Science, science, science. And back out again. This time I'm adding the data core so I can reset the experiments without actually having to recover the vessel. Headed over to the space plane hangar, recovering the science. So I go ahead and grab electrics here so I can grab the probe core, SAS, and it's time to actually land on the moon. So instead of shooting straight for the moon this time, I go ahead for a low Kerbin orbit, and then set up a Holman transfer by eye, which you will see here in just a moment. But still following the same ascent profile, using the gravity assist. Having done this a couple of times already, it's pretty easy. Get this craft where I want it. Dial it in almost exactly. Here I am, just finally tweaking. Got almost a perfect circular 70-kilometer orbit. So here I am, eyeing the moon, just coming around so that it's just peeking out over Kerbin, and then I had set my prograde vector and accelerated and got the encounter. Here I am setting up the circularization orbit around the moon so that I can deorbit and land. Coming around on the light side this time. And this crater, I didn't expect to land in this crater, but it actually did help me out a bit. Or land near the crater anyway. I thought I was going to have to land inside the crater, and that would have taken more Delta V. Fortunately, I stopped on the edge here and actually landed. So that is my first landing on the first body. And here I am doing the same for Minmus. Exact same craft. If it can land on the moon, then it can land on Minmus. Right? Didn't quite nail the orbit on this one, but yeah, needed to get out higher anyway. I remembered to extend the antenna before I left Kerbin this time. Here I am judging the window for Minmus. It's kind of in the same position as the moon was last time. And pretty much doing the same thing, waiting for Minmus to come around the edge of Kerbin, and then just setting for prograde vector and burning until my apoapsis is around the same distance away from Kerbin as Minmus. Here I am burning at periapsis to get a nice circular orbit, just under 1,000,000 kilometers, and then I go ahead and burn at apoapsis, bring the periapsis down to an acceptable landing level. And there is science to be had while I'm here, so I might as well go ahead and beam it back since I have the electrical power, but I do need to make sure that I get the solar panels in the right direction to charge again so that I can send more science, which is what I was doing there. Minmus is much easier to land on than the moon, but quite a bit more tedious and time consuming, but here we are. Just about to come in, doing the final burns, trying to preserve all the parts. Might even have enough Delta V left in this thing to get it back into orbit, perhaps use it as a relay or something. Okay, back. I fill out the rest of the nodes that I've been missing from the 45 tier and grab a couple more from the 90 tier. And it is time to get more science from the KSC. So we take out the buggy again. First I got some from the launch pad, then I went down to the crawler way here. Once I upgrade one of the buildings, then even more biomes, which I just did. I upgraded the tracking center, and that means that there are biomes to be had over here. But I don't know if I need to upgrade this one more time. Yeah, it looks like I need to in order to get the dishes to become separate biomes. Alright, fine. What about you? Tracking center hub. Okay, so that's another completely separate biome. Alright. More nodes. We're gonna get heavy rocketry and plan our first window for Moho. So I need a scientist to basically restore the material stay in the mystery goo container. So I'm gonna build a completely different vessel here. Now that I have jet power too, it'll make it easier to get around. So we'll pop Bob in this thing and go around and grab as much science from the KSC as we can. Science jet. I had forgotten air intakes. Alright, so yeah, this thing is actually quite maneuverable. I can't get it going too fast though. Anything above 30 meters per second, you're definitely gonna crash. Yeah, with also having a person manning the vessel, you could do crew and EVA reports, so that helps out quite a bit. Enable me to unlock quite a bit more nodes. So I'm gonna do this again at several different locations around the KSC. Going over here to the astronaut complex. Do the same. Bob out reciting everything. And go over to the administration building, or the flagpole first. That's right, because the flagpole is a completely separate biome all by itself. Science, science, science. Give me science. Alright, now the administration building. Same thing, pick up what I didn't get last time. Over to R&D. I believe R&D at this level has a couple of separate biomes. I'm not quite sure. Go over here and see. This is a separate biome. No, not yet. Got a little stuck here, but we'll just go ahead and recover the vessel there. Alrighty, so more nodes to open up. We will grab advanced flight controls. Gonna head back out with Bob, get some more science. This time we're gonna head towards the water. Up some splashdown science. It's a pretty shot. Just recently installed the Eve and scatter mods. This time we're gonna head over towards the grasslands. Didn't realize that I had actually got the specific shores biome, that I was getting the KSC biome that said shores in parentheses, but it wasn't actually getting the shores biome, so picked that up on the way. As soon as it registers as grassland, I go ahead and pick up all the grassland signs too. It's a nice chunk, but not quite enough, so I need a little bit more. Alright, so I guess I should have taken off from the launch pad instead of the runway, but oh well. It was a straight shot all the way down here. Need to get out to the water biome, so not the shores biome, but the water biome. And I had a little trouble getting the craft pointed in the right direction because of the aerodynamics, but I finally figured out how to ski it along the water correctly, and finally got to the actual water biome so I could get all the sites that I didn't get there. So that should give me enough to get the node I wanted. Excellent. So I pick up miniaturization.